This is Scratch Spacewalker build number 10, I think my 10th video. This is we are now building the tail and rudder assembly. We're first going to build the curvature of the tail. So far, before I get into that, so far just give you an update. With the fuselage pretty much done up to this point. I mean, there's still a lot to do on it, but for now I think we can move forward, because putting this tail together, we're going to need to get the actual vertical and horizontal stabilizer done, so we can kind of position those stringers, that type of thing. So we'll go ahead and put this guy up here to just watch and enjoy the show. Kind of show you what I did here. First of all, let me show you a finished product of what we're doing, so you can kind of get an idea. Over here on the Waco build is a good example. You've got the curvature of the elevator and the rudder. There's several ways to do this. You notice the wing tips are the same way. We're going to laminate the tips. There's several ways you can do it, but this seems to be the best way. I think it looks the best. To give you an idea, sorry to make you dizzy here, look at the lightning bug here. You'll notice this tail, kind of see it through the covering. They're not stringers, they're just chunks of wood that I've cut and then I've laid down and then cut around it, if you can kind of see that. Whereas this one here, we're actually going to soak strips of wood and then wrap it, and when it's been soaked overnight, preferably a day or two, then I will wrap it around here. Wrap one, and then I'll wrap another around it. Probably do two or three, more than two, at least three, possibly even four. It depends on how thick we want the tip. And then as I'm laying them down, I'll put pins on the outside to hold it. After I've wrapped them all, I'll do all three and then let them dry before I glue them. So when I take them off the plans, the wood will be dried in the curvature that we need it. And you notice I've got the tail and the horizontal stab. So yeah, all those pins, you want to make sure the tips may look like they're not lined up, but they're lined up. It's just some of the pins are bent, so you can straighten them. The main thing you want to look for is make sure those pins are straight down. So when you look down there, your edge isn't going to go all curved. It's going to be nice and groomed and straight around those. And also, if you'll notice here, I didn't put them so close together because it's just going to be straight here. So the more important part is around these tips, because that's where you get them to break. You know, the tips will snap and fall in and everything, so you want to keep it nice and tight. So anyway, the way of soaking your wood, I'm going to have to cut new wood because the wood I cut was not the right size. I don't know what happened, where I screwed up, but I just got a PVC pipe. I put a cap on it and taped it. Don't just think that's just tape, but I capped it with a PVC cap and then taped it also. Anyway, let's fill it up with water, shove the sticks down inside there, and then cover it with the tape, and then I just set it aside. Like I said, a day or two. Just let it soak. I had sticks in there soaking for like weeks, and they were well over soaked. They were starting to smell like mildew and stuff. So anyway, we chucked them, and we're going to redo that. So the next step, I'll have soaked the strips of wood. I'm going to do 1/8 inch by 3/32, I believe. So they'll be 3/32 high, and then turn them, and then they'll just be real thin. That way they can bend real easy. So I'll get those soaked. My next video, I'll have soaked them and probably have already wrapped them. Maybe I'll get some footage of me wrapping them. And we just use small pins. Don't need to use the big T pins because they'll just rip apart your plans, make big holes in it. So anyway, another update. I've begun cutting out the ribs for the main wing. You notice the bottom is a little symmetrical, but the top's got a big camber. So they're not, it's not a fully symmetrical wing. And you can cut those out any way you want. I just cut out the rib out of the plans and then placed it down on the balsa sheet, traced it with a pencil, and then cut it out by hand. And then, of course, you want all your ribs to look identical. I need to make like 15 more, so it's kind of a long project to cut all those ribs out, but make sure you're cutting them, obviously, long grain. Don't cut them so they're up and down grain, because they'll just break. So 3/32 I believe I used. And then there's the ribs. There's the fuse. We'll build the tips, or the tips for the horizontal and vertical stab, and that should be it. Part 10, there you go.